Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with a Why Choose Romance recommendation video. Listen, I have read some that I've really loved a lot in the last year and a half, give or take. I don't know when I read some of these. Either way, I love a Why Choose. I have a lot still on my TBR for the rest of the year that I want to read. So like, I'm just here for it. And I've also found like a new love that we're going to talk about in a minute for like a certain subset of Why Chooses. So let's dive in to this. First things first, I want to talk about Syndicate of Sin by Marie Marivella. I think that's how you say her last name. This one. I stayed up too late reading this one, first of all. Like, this was a I don't want to put this down until I'm done book, because this is not just Why Choose, it's also Mafia. And it features our heroine, who is the daughter of a trader who's been taken in by like her stepdad or whatever. I don't remember exact relations, but anyways, family member, and has to kind of just like follow along to stay in line. And she is at her sister who's going to get married off to someone's like event, and runs into one of the four guys that are sons of the other mobs in town. So we have like Bratva, we have Yakuza, we have Irish, and we have Italian. So you got it all here. And they end up in this like contentious rivalry relationship that is spectacular. Oh my god, I love the rivalry here. It's so fun. She is gonna push their buttons, they're gonna push her buttons. It is smoking hot. It has great intrigue. We meet the character from book one, which I still haven't read yet, and I really do need to read. Total badass like heroine. Like the first character and this one. I believe like both of these female characters are so strong on their own, and they just like are strengthened by their men, and it's delightful. So I cannot get enough of Syndicate of Sin personally. I'm dying for the next book in this series to come out. Like, I will possibly do a reread of all three. Like, I just really had such a good time reading this book. And I just also, it was hot as hell. Like, we had a lot of, I can't remember if it was knife or gunplay or both in this, but listen, it just kind of had the right mix of all the things, you know? Like, my mix. My favorite kind of mix. Next, we have Cindered Glass, which I just read, which is by Shaolin Johnson. This is a surprise to me because it is a fantasy fairy tale retelling based Why Choose? And I honestly wasn't sure this had fae in it and all this stuff. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I'm always very hesitant with fae stuff lately because like I feel like often it is just a rip of Sarah J. Maas, which is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something different, and this delivers, and that's something different. Summer, our heroine, is, of course, our Cinderella, and ends up meeting a fae being that gives her powers, and we follow her relationship with him and the blacksmith and the prince and someone else I'm not going to reveal to you. Like, it's a lot of people involved, and it's so good. This had a really good world building, really good relationship. It runs headfirst into the sex as well, like in a good way. So I really enjoyed that. It felt like, it just felt really good to read. It felt like a really interesting world, a place I wanted to know more about. On top of strengthening our character Summer throughout the book by her learning more and discovering more and like figuring things out and fighting for what she wants. The way the third act worked was perfect for me. This does have a pretty long list of content warnings from the author on their website though. So I do want to note that the two that I will specifically call out, because I think that they're the most like on page of them all, is one, there is sexual assault on page. Keep that in mind. There's a couple things that happen. Two, though, there also is the normal tropes / things we see with Cinderella retellings involving abusive stepfamily and parents and things like that, and like death of a parent. Like, all of that's there. But I also want to note that on this one, I just was like so happy with how it all played out. Like, I thought the third act situation, what happens in this, was really interesting, really different, and then it played out perfectly for me. Like, I was very happy. The ending was good. Like, all around, I'm just really excited to see what else they write and give it a try, because this was impressive for a first time I've heard of you author. I think this is their debut. It's like their one book on Amazon. So then we have a classic on my channel, a beloved favorite, though I didn't love the final book in this series as much as I wanted to. I will note that, but I do still think it's worth a read because it's very fun, and that is The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. This is a really fun series. This is one of those, just, it's a Peter Pan retelling. If you just want a good time, you're looking for a good time, you're looking for a quick read, this is a great series. This is a great option. It has a great balance of smut and plot and world building happening. And nothing's too complicated, so you don't have to have like full focus on it, but it's just complicated enough that like you're intrigued by how it's going to unfold. You may also find some to be predictable to an extent with how things unfold in this. I won't deny that fact, but I don't think that's a bad thing always. Sometimes I want a book like that where it is predictable, but I still had a fun time reading it. This is what the Never King series is to me. So if you haven't picked this up yet, and even if you're not a huge Peter Pan fan, it might be worth a try. They're all very quick reads. There's 4 books in the series, and honestly, you could probably finish them in a couple days. So they're a good time, very smutty. I love Vane. Vane is like my favorite. You have kind of like all the kinds of heroes in this too, which is fun. Like you have your dark brooding, you have your like kind of chaotic one. Like it's just a fun time. It's a good time. So yeah, I kind of like also this one when we get that whole mix. I think that's why I like White Shoes, honestly, is we often get that mix of hero types. Next, we have Queenie and the Krakens, which I read last year for my members pick, and I really liked Queenie and the Krakens. This turned me on to this author big time. I do want to read more from her. This is about Queenie who ends up in a safe place with the Kraken MCs. So this is a motorcycle romance, and it follows her relationship with a bunch of the members, and it's just really cute. She also like is another strong female character who goes off and does things to save herself. And gets like fussed at by the boys for not asking for their help, which is really cute in my opinion. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I think this one is another one that just did a really good job of giving me varied heroes, different characters, building the trust within the relationship, and also giving me like just the right amount of tension and dynamics between them all that I was like tickled. I really liked Queenie. I'm really picky about my motorcycle romances, so for me this one just kind of hit the spot and worked for me really, really well. And then last is going to be the one that like everyone's seen everywhere, but I can't not recommend it because it is one of my favorite books of the year, and that's Pucking Around by Emily Rath. Listen, is this book like 700 and some pages, almost 800? Yes. Did I read this book in 2 sittings? Yes. And I think that says a lot. I read the novella that one night, Pucking Around, within like 48 hours. That's fast. So this is one of those books that even though it's so long, the length, don't let it scare you. Don't let it scare you. Try the novella. Try that one night. Gives you some setup for our heroine Rachel and Jake's relationship and like how they met, and then start pucking around and you will see everything move forward pretty quickly, honestly. We meet Caleb and we meet Elmari pretty quickly in this one, and it just kind of, it moves, and there's like a nice halfway point around 50 to 60% that you could just take a break if you did read it in one sit, like half of it in one sitting. That maybe would have been a 2-book break apart, but I personally appreciate when something is just one book. I get tired of things being split up into trilogies needlessly or all that. So like I have a deep appreciation for that this is just one book. One and done. And oh god, I loved this book. So if you want the best little golden retriever hero, the kind of grumpy guy who needs to find his found family, and our broken hero Caleb, who has like got injured and can no longer play in the NHL and is an equipment manager for the team and just like figuring out life as like not being what he thought he was going to be, which was like a star in the NHL. This is your book. And Rachel is just spectacular. As a heroine, I really enjoyed her. I think she was really, really fun. She is pretty sure of herself and what she wants, and the boys are all there for her and to support her and each other. Like there's a really beautiful found family element of this that is especially explored in the Pucking Ever After Volume 1 short story collection. That was Millie snoring. Apparently she is not entertained by this book, but listen, I know it's intimidating. I am not a long book person though. Like if you are new here, I am not a long book person. The fact that I loved this as much as I do says a lot. So if you haven't and you're inclined, I would pick this up. I don't think you're gonna have a bad time. All right, those are all of my current White Shoes recs. I have a whole bunch on my TBR for the rest of the year. Hopefully I read them soon. We'll see. They tend to be longer, and that's part of why it takes me so long to like get a rec video for them up. So let me know if you have a favorite White Shoes romance you've read, and if you don't want to do that, you can leave me an animal emoji of your choice. Leave me your favorite animal. I'd love to know. And I will have links to all these books for you down below, as well as links to my friend anywhere on the internet, and I will talk to y'all in a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what